Good morning, America. Even if you're on the East Coast, it's still the morning. It's 11:30 a.m. I know some of you probably just woke up, even though it's a weekday. The U.S. men's national team March roster is out. And this is a big one. This is a very important roster. This is the last one before we get the final roster for the 2026 World Cup. And we're going to break down everything that is in it. We're also going to be talking about what the World Cup roster will probably look like based on this one, which I've thought about this long and hard. Okay. Um, and the more I look into this roster, the more I see the World Cup roster, minus three names that are missing because they're injured. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go through this roster, right? We go through the entire roster. And then after we do that, I'll tell you more or less of what I think the World Cup one will be. Okay. And then don't forget, tomorrow we have a 7 things we learned episode, which will be much shorter than this stream about what did we learn from this roster. Which some of the things will probably be repeating what I'm saying today, but I'm going to go through Pochettino's press conference. It's going to be a very good episode. That'll be out tomorrow. 7 things we learned because it's a very important roster. So it deserves a stream. It deserves also a video. Okay. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing today? Make sure to drop a like if you haven't already right now. And let's begin. So Pochettino called up a 27-man roster. Okay, there are 27 players. If you want, we can quickly count this. 1, 2, 3, 4 goalkeepers, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 with the defenders, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 with the midfielders, and then 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 with the forwards. So we have a 27-man roster. The World Cup, you can bring 26. This is essentially the World Cup roster because he's going to bring 3 goalkeepers for the World Cup, but for this one, he brought 4. The first thing we can see right away, we have Chris Brady from the Chicago Fire as a goalkeeper, Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati. I don't know why he's there. I don't think he's good enough to be there, but whatever. Matt Turner is also back from New England Revolution, and Matt Freese from New York City FC, the goalkeeper that is expected to start in the World Cup for the United States. My guess here is that if the World Cup was today, he would probably cut Roman Celentano. He would bring Brady, Matt Freese, and Matt Turner. With Matt Freese being the starter, Matt Turner probably the backup, and Chris Brady, very young goalkeeper, being the third goalkeeper. Very good one, by the way. So here it is. Those are the goalkeepers. Next up, we have the defenders. When we look at the defenders, you have Max Arston from the Columbus Crew, Alex Freeman from Villarreal, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, Tim Ream from Charlotte, Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Miles Robinson from FC Cincinnati, Joe Scally from Borussia, not Dortmund, and then you got Austin Trusty from Celtic. Okay, so let's go through the defenders. We're obviously missing Serginho Dest. He's injured. Serginho Dest is dealing with a hamstring injury, and he's expected to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. He should be back early May, so no concerns there when it comes to the World Cup for Serginho Dest. The other player that's missing here is Mr. Noah Kai Banks. Okay, a player that's played through U.S. youth teams. He's been called up by Pochettino before. He's having a good season with Augsburg in the Bundesliga, the 19-year-old center back. But apparently, he's in love with someone else. He doesn't want us. And you may be saying, no, you don't understand. He's a dual national. He's torn between the 2 countries. Like, brother, I am a dual national. I understand. I am a dual national. Okay. Now, I'm not a dual national that can play for 2 national teams because I suck, but I understand being torn between 2 countries. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this right now. If I was in his position, let's switch Germany for Brazil, right? My other nationality would be Brazilian. If there was a World Cup in the United States, I was going to get called in by the US, and there was a possibility Brazil's like, hey, maybe in the future we can call you up. But again, we're not going to be hosting a World Cup. It's not certain. I would not think about it at all. I would go with the US. Simple as that. I would not think about it. I understand that my situation in banks is a little bit different, right? I grew up in the US while being born in Brazil, while he grew up in Germany while being born in the United States. So it's different, right? Culturally speaking, he's probably more German, than American from a cultural standpoint. The same way, from a cultural standpoint, I am probably more American than Brazilian. So I understand that it's different in that sense. But my overall point is I'm not criticizing Noah Kai Banks' decision. If he wants to play for Germany, so be it, play for Germany. What I am saying is that if he wanted to play for the US, if the United States was the priority, it's a no brainer. We're freaking hosting a World Cup, and he'll very likely make the roster if he commits to us. It is a no brainer. That is my point, right? I'm not criticizing the player for making the decision that he's making, but it's pretty damn obvious, right? It's pretty damn obvious that he prefers Germany. He wouldn't wait. That's the reality, right? That is my point. Him choosing Germany over the US, look, full respect for it. He grew up in Germany. Culturally speaking, he's probably more German. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But we have to have some self-respect. We cannot beg a player to play for us when clearly we're not the number one option. It's pretty obvious, right? Now, do I want Noah Kai Banks to play for us? Of course. This is one heck of a talent. This is a very good center back already at age 19. And there's a reason why Germany is interested. Even though there were reports out that the DFB didn't really reach out to him, the federation, but there were also reports that Nagelsmann reached out to him. So I don't think Noah Kai Banks makes it to the German roster in the World Cup, but could he play for Germany one day? Absolutely. I think he's good enough that he could. Now, if he wanted to play for the US, guys, he would have said yes right away. That's the reality. Germany is his priority. I can assure you, if Germany calls him up for the World Cup, he'll go play for Germany. Okay, so it is what it is. It sucks. That's a really good player. But it looks like we're only going to get Noah Kai Banks if Germany doesn't want him, which is sad. We already lost Nathaniel Brown, which is a great left back, to Germany. And it is what it is, man. Like, these guys grew up there, so they feel more connected. People are asking about Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's injured, right? He had a major injury, and he's out of the World Cup. Like, he won't play. He won't be available for the World Cup. So Carter-Vickers is injured. So once again, defenders, we have left back Max Arston, right back / center back Alex Freeman from Villarreal. We have seen Pochettino use Alex Freeman as a center back in the back three. Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, Tim Ream from Charlotte, Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Miles Robinson, the center back from Cincinnati, Joe Scally from Gladbach, and Austin Trusty from Celtic FC. I just want to say one more thing about Noah Kai Banks before we move on to the midfielders. So Noah Kai Banks was allegedly called up for this roster, and he kind of rejected it because he doesn't want to commit to the U.S. right now. My question is, and you let me know in the comment section, who replaced him? Miles Robinson or Austin Trusty? Who replaced Noah Kai Banks? My guess, it's Austin Trusty. I think Pochettino likes Miles, even though Trusty played well last camp, so I don't know. I'm not sure. One of the two, because Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, and Richards are locks. So that's the other thing. Now let's go to the midfield. Let's talk about the midfield. Okay. Midfield, we have Sebastian Berhalter from the Vancouver Whitecaps, Johnny Cardoso, he's back with the national team from Atletico Madrid, Weston McKennie from Juventus, Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough, Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach, he's here. And I'm going to talk about Gio here in a second because this is actually very important that Gio's there. Christian Roldan from the Seattle Sounders, obviously Roldan is there. I have nothing else to add about Christian Roldan. I've said it many times. I don't think he can contribute on the field for the World Cup. I think he will look out of his depth, right? However, since it's a 26-man roster, if he's going to go and be the vibes guy, so be it. Okay, so be it. I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse. Okay. Tanner Tessman from Lyon is there. Tanner Tessman that played as a center back this weekend for Lyon. My center back agenda is alive, very much alive. I've talked about this for a long time, and even the French media is talking about Tanner Tessman being a center back. I'm not crazy, guys. I'm not crazy. I'm just early. And then sometimes when you're early, people call you crazy. Malik Tillman from Bayer Leverkusen also makes the roster as a midfielder. So let's talk about this very quickly. The one player that's missing here that would be a roster lock is Tyler Adams. He's injured. Okay, he didn't play this weekend for Bournemouth due to precaution, and he's probably not going to play against Manchester United on Friday. He should be back right after the international break. But Tyler Adams, if healthy, he's a World Cup lock. So this is probably more or less what I expect the World Cup roster midfield to look like. But we would just add Tyler Adams and remove one player. The question is, who will be removed? If it's Tyler Adams, it's probably between Sebastian Berhalter, Johnny Cardoso, Aiden Morris. Probably those three right now. One of those three would have to go. Now, ideally, you just remove Sebastian Berhalter and you're set. You bring in Tyler, Johnny, Aiden, Roldan, Testman as the guys that can play in that double pivot. But with Pochettino, we don't know. A lot of it will be based on what happens this camp. Let's see how Johnny does. If Johnny goes in and plays like crap again, I think Pochettino might leave him out of the World Cup, which is a bit bizarre because he's a starter for Atletico Madrid and a very good player. So we'll see what happens this camp, but Tyler Adams is the one player. Now, Gio Reyna, that's another player I want to talk about very quickly. Diego Luna is back from injury, right? He played like 20 minutes this weekend, right, in MLS 3 days ago. So he's healthy. He's back. Luna played 20 minutes this weekend, and Gio Reyna has played 20 minutes roughly in 2026. So this year, they've played roughly the same amount of minutes for their clubs. But Gio Reyna is there. He is there. Alejandro Zendejas is also playing for Club America. He didn't make the roster, but Gio's there. This tells me that Gio's probably a roster lock as long as he's healthy. Will he start for the U.S.? Probably not. I doubt Gio will be a starter, but he's probably a guy that Pochettino wants to bring off the bench. Now, Diego Luna, on the other hand, if Giovanni Reyna and Tillman are healthy, does Luna make the roster? Because Diego Luna, when you go back like a year when we were playing like the Gold Cup and he was balling out against amateurs from Guatemala, people were hyping him and saying he's a roster lock for the World Cup. I literally saw that even from U.S. soccer media. And I kept saying it's like, I haven't seen this guy play well for the U.S. once when it was against a good opponent. We saw that against Switzerland, Turkey. It's just when it's bad opponents, he plays well because he's better than the bad opponents, obviously. I think Diego Luna will only make the World Cup roster if we have injuries. If Gio Reyna is not available. If all these guys that are here are available, I don't think Diego Luna makes the roster. He's not going to replace Malik Tillman. He's not going to replace Brendan Aronson. He's not going to replace Gio Reyna. So I think Diego Luna will be left out of the World Cup roster. Okay, and Zendejas as well. Let's talk about the forwards now. Forwards, we have Brendan Aronson, which is probably more of a midfielder in the 3-4-2-1. Patrick Agyemang from Derby County. He's very likely replacing Haji Wright because Haji is injured. Okay. The three center forwards would have been Pepe, Balogun, and Haji, with Balogun being the starter, Haji being the backup, and Pepe being the third option. But Haji is injured. He just got injured, right? I believe it's a groin injury. So he's not available. And then Patrick Agyemang was called in, the guy that's not in good form right now in the championship. He was scoring a lot of headers. His head game was very good in the championship, but people found out he had a good head game, and they started marking him a bit better in the box. So Patrick Agyemang is there. Floating Balogun, our best center forward. Right now, probably our most informed player alongside Weston McKennie. The last 6 games he's played for Monaco, Balogun, he had 6 goals, including goals against PSG twice, right? A brace, and then he scored again against PSG. 3 goals. 3 of those 6 goals were against PSG. All right. So Balogun is there. Pepe is there. Christian Pulisic is there. Pulisic is on a really, really, really bad cold streak right now. He has no goal contributions in 2026. Obviously, he, in my opinion, is still our best player. But yeah, Pulisic's not playing well in 2026. He's been struggling. And then you have Tim Weah from Marseille. Now, what's interesting for me is Tim Weah is listed as a forward, rightfully so. He's played mostly as a winger for the United States throughout his career. But Tim Weah is pretty much only playing as a wingback or fullback for Marseille. And during his club career, he's mainly a fullback for Lille, for Juventus, for Marseille. And with Pochettino playing in a 3-4-2-1 where the attacking midfielders are tucked inside, so they're not really wingers, I think Tim Weah might play as a wingback. I think we're going to see Tim Weah with no Dest. He'll probably start at least one game this camp as a wingback. I don't think he'll play as a forward. Unless we see some formation change, which I don't think we will. It's probably going to be the 3-4-2-1. Tim Weah very likely is a fullback. Okay? Very likely is a fullback. Now, before we continue, I want to put some important dates here for the U.S. men's national team. Okay? I think it's important for all the U.S. fans to know. I even bookmarked this from Stephen Goff. Very important dates. Not for this camp, right? This camp, I'm going to put on screen when we play and who we face this camp for the roster you just saw. But mark your calendars there because USMNT pre-World Cup schedule. May 26th, we get the squad or the roster announcement in New York City, the great New York City. May 27th, camp starts at the National Training Center in Atlanta or near Atlanta, right? The one that's under construction or probably ready by now. May 31st, we play against Senegal in Charlotte. Then we go back to another training center, to our training center in Atlanta. Then we play Germany in a friendly in Chicago, June 6th, which is 6 days before our World Cup opener. But then after the Germany game, we go to California. We're going to be in Irvine. We're going to go back to California on the West Coast, which is where we'll play our games, right? We play in LA, we play in Seattle. And then June 12th, the World Cup opener. All right. So you guys mark your calendars with that. Very important news right there. The other thing right now is just real quick. Obviously, you guys can Google this, but I'm just going to put on screen the two friendlies we have this camp are against Belgium and against Germany. All right. So mark your calendars. We're obviously going to be doing the full coverage, match previews. We're going to be doing match previews, live watch along, 7 things we learned, all of that. We're going to be doing it. But these are the games. Here it is on screen. By the way, everyone, right now, drop a like in the stream if you haven't. Just do it right now. Help us hit 500 likes. It's free and it helps the channel quite a bit. And I appreciate it if you could just do that. Subscribe if you're not. And tomorrow we have a 7 things we learned video about this roster. Okay, it'll be much shorter than this stream. And I'm also going to think a bit more about study the roster, watch the press conference from Pochettino. So tomorrow, 7 things we learned video about the roster. So we play Belgium Saturday, May 28th. I'll be doing a live watch along for that for sure. That's a big game, right? Belgium is a team that we could face them in the World Cup in the round of 16. Based on the bracket, we could face them in the round of 16. And then we play Portugal on the other Tuesday after the Belgium game, May 31st. Cristiano Ronaldo is questionable at the time of this recording, but it looks like Ronaldo might not be available. Okay, so Belgium 28th, Portugal 31st. Okay, so Rogelio is saying, nice roster, minus Miles and Christian Roldan. Also, if you guys don't know, everyone is welcome to join the Discord server. It's in the description. Yes, if you guys want to join the Discord, it's in the description of this video. Okay, it's in the description of this video. What are you guys saying? May or March, Philippe? No, those games are in March. The 2 games that are in March are the Belgium and Portugal games. Those are in March. The Senegal and Germany games will be in May. Those we play in May, right before the World Cup. So again, right now, March, Belgium and Portugal. May, we play Senegal and Germany. Got it? I don't know what I said. Might have been confusing. Hope I clarified myself right there. And I guess that's all for today. That's all we had to say. And sorry if I said May, guys. They're saying I said May. So sorry I said that. Real quick before we go, I'll put the roster on screen once again. And then tomorrow we have the 7 things we learned about this roster. I'll quickly read it since you guys, some of you just arrived. What I expect you to do is to hit the like button while I read it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, goalkeepers, Brady from the Chicago Fire, Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati, Matt Freese from New York City FC, and Matt Turner from New England. The defenders are Max Arfson from the Columbus Crew, Alex Freeman from Villarreal, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, Tim Ream from Charlotte FC, Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Miles Robinson from FC Cincinnati, and Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach, alongside Austin Trusty from Celtic FC. The midfielders are Sebastian Berhalter from Vancouver, Johnny from Atletico Madrid, McKennie from Juventus, Aiden Morris from Middlesbrough, Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach, Christian Roldan from the Seattle Sounders, Tanner Tessman from Lyon, and Malik Tillman from Leverkusen. And then the forwards, we have Brendan Aronson from Leeds, Patrick Agyemang from Derby County, Balogun from Monaco, Pepe from PSV, Christian Pulisic from Milan, and Tim Weah from Marseille. So again, Dest, Tyler Adams, and Haji Wright are injured. That's why they're not in the roster. Tomorrow, we have the 7 things we learned about it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'm very much looking forward because it kind of feels like the World Cup is finally starting. It kind of feels like we're here. It's a solid roster. Maybe Miles is an issue. That's one I don't rate very highly. Sebastian Berhalter, kind of. Without Tyler Adams, it's fine for him to be there. Roldan is the vibes guy. Besides that, mostly a fine roster. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Drop a like right now before you go. And when I close the stream, put a random comment to boost us in the YouTube algorithm. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.